All right. Good morning and happy manufacturing 2021. I see we've got some special guests on the line. Again, Manufacturing Day is all about celebrating the wonderful career options that are available in the manufacturing career field. And so we wanted to kick today's celebration off with a little more information about some of the wonderful careers that you can pursue in the manufacturing field. So if you're joining us via computer today and you can see the chat, I did just drop a link into the chat to Making Ohio. And Making Ohio is a great place to get more information on manufacturing careers right here in Ohio. And there are so many different career pathways that you can pursue within manufacturing. And today we're really going to talk about just a few. But if you're interested in learning more about the great pathways that are available, again, check out Making Ohio. Today we're going to focus a little bit on industrial maintenance and machining, and then we're also going to hear from some welding students that may be pursuing welding as a career option. So again, today is really all about celebrating the career pathways within manufacturing and kind of dispelling the myths that we may all have heard about manufacturing as a career pathway, and even get a sneak peek into a particular manufacturing partner that we're so excited to be partnered with on touring their facility here today. But without further ado, we definitely want to turn our attention and have an opportunity to hear a little bit more about some of our future manufacturers. And so we're very fortunate that Mr. Eubank and a few of his welding students have joined us here today live. So we're going to go ahead and really structure today via Teams on a live interview with some of the students that you see tuned in. But we also have two kind of correspondents over at MAI, which is a manufacturing partner that we're going to learn a lot more about here today. But we really want to hear from Mr. Eubank and his students. So, Mr. Eubank, if you don't mind, will you tell us a little bit about you and your program, and then give your students a little bit of an opportunity to introduce themselves as well? Mr. Eubank, I think you might be muted.
I'm Ryan Eubank out of Euclid, Ohio, the Lakeshore Compact that's up by the Cleveland area. I've been teaching now for 17 years for career technical education as a welding instructor. I am from the industry. I worked for Lincoln Electric for 11 years full time, and then as one of their top consultants for the last 14 years in education and also international training. But I teach here locally at the high school, and I also teach at Lakeland Community College up the road. I've been inspiring young men and young women in the welding field to seek paths into the manufacturing and the construction trades. I think welding is a viable option for these young men and women upon completing their high school or their college careers to enter into the manufacturing skills. So we are real focus driven on manufacturing and the construction trade and welding.
Awesome, thank you so much. And we'd love to hear a little bit more from your students too. So students, if you want to take some time to introduce yourselves, that would be fantastic. I think you might have accidentally muted yourself. There you go.
Hi, I'm Tamara Reed, senior at Euclid High School. I'm thinking about taking this welding program and going to college and studying in mechanical engineering. But after college, I'm not sure exactly what I want to do.
I'm Cheyenne Slavniker. I'm a senior at Menor High School, and I come here through Lakeshore Compact to Euclid High School for this welding program. And I plan to pursue welding after high school. I want to go straight into the workforce. I grew up working with my dad and my brother for my dad's construction and railroad maintenance company, so I thought that this would be a good fit for me.
Nice to meet you.
Hi, I'm Peter Johnson. I'm a senior at Euclid High School, and I plan to pursue welding after practical experience and going out to the work field.
That's great.
Hi, I'm Nadia Jarvis. I am a junior in Euclid High School, and this is my first year at welding, and I plan to keep going with it so far.
Nadia Jarvis, and I'm a junior in the Eubank program. And I've taken it because I've grown up around metal, cars, and whatever you think.
Great. That's great. To learn a little bit more about manufacturing car parts.
I'm a senior at Manor High School, and I come to Euclid to weld, and I love it, and I hope to pursue this right out of high school.
That's great. Well, you know, it's such a great opportunity to interact with all of you that are considering pursuing, you know, manufacturing types after high school. So do you all mind, like, can you tell us a little bit about your educational journey? Like, what do you enjoy most about this set of technical classes, your welding classes, versus kind of like what did it look like before you started taking your welding classes? So a little bit about your educational journey.
Hold on 1 second.
Hello, can you still hear us? Can you repeat yourself? We weren't able to hear you on this end.
Yeah, no problem. Can you tell us a little bit about your guys' educational journey? Like, what did it look like? Do you like classes change? Maybe we'll type some of our questions in the chat too. And actually, that reminds me, if you're tuning in here today and we can type some of the questions that you may have, we would be happy to get them answered for you as well.
Hey, Cassie, this is Joe Glavin over at Mentor Schools. Can you look to unmute the chat? Right now, I think it's muted. Oh, perfect. It's open.
Yep. Look, ask and you shall receive. Perfect. Mr. Eubank, can you hear us now?
I can hear you now.
Okay, great. So can you just kind of tell us a little bit about your educational journey? So before you started taking your welding classes, and then are you enjoying your welding classes now? So talk to us a little bit about how the welding program and taking these classes has kind of changed your view of education.
Your question. You want me to ask that, or do you want the girls to ask that?
Yeah.
She wants you to answer. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Do you want me to answer? I would say that now I feel like I have more of a look on the mechanical part of everything. So I feel now after the program, well, still currently in the program, I feel like women are definitely way better than men in the program. But I feel like we have a way more advantage because people always look at girls and be like, oh, you can't do that, you won't be able to do this, oh, it's too much work for you. But I feel like we'll be way better. And like prior to it, I always looked at it like, wow, a female doing hard work, labor and stuff like that. And it was kind of like, oh, wow, that's scary and weird. But now it's kind of like we're equal to men, even better. So, yeah.
Thank you.
I kind of agree with what Jar said. I think that now we have a bigger look at how females can actually come into this program and make a name for ourselves, and not only like have to rely on the guys for everything, but do things ourselves. And I'd say that my perspective has also changed because I've matured so much through this program. And before, a big accomplishment academically for me was getting like an A on a test or something, but now it's when I create projects and see everything come out as a finished result and just see how much things.
My perspective has changed before and after going into this program because before I thought that everything was counted for a grade. I thought that everything after high school still counted as a grade. So I thought that I just wanted to go become a doctor or something. Because that's, I mean, it's not easy, but it's a general idea that a lot of people can go after, but a lot of people can't go after the hard thought of doing labor after high school. So I think that has kind of shifted my perspective a lot in career choices rather than just education.
That's great. Thanks for sharing that.
From starting this program, my perspective on like life has changed. I realized that actually Ryan is in the world. It's not just about grades, like they said. It's not just about school. It's about like how we put ourselves out into the world.
That's important. That's great.
My perspective has changed because when I first joined, I thought everything was just A, B's, and you got a letter grade. And Ryan made me realize that life is not just a grade. Life, you get one chance and you can't mess it up.
Thank you.
My perspective has changed because I come from a family where all the men are in trades. All my family has worked for like automotive companies. So being the first woman in trade has been a really powerful move for me. And it's just something that I love to come in here and do every single day.
That gives you something to look forward to. Great.
Now let me talk,
You go for it.
because my perspective has changed too.
Yeah.
Because for many years, I've taught for about 20 years now. I've taught in the business sector, and I've taught at the high school level, and I've taught at the college level. And in the last couple of years, it's amazing to see the influx of the young ladies that are coming into the program. There used to be I would say a 1 to 2 out of every 50 students was a female. In my program now, I have 32 individuals in my class, and I have 11 young ladies in my class. So having a lot of young ladies in my class, at first it was going to be like, I was nervous about it, because the simple fact was, when you have high school students, men and young ladies working together, sometimes there's relationships that build. And what we've learned is we treat it as a family instead of relationships. And to see these young ladies flourish in the welding field and be able to take ownership in project-based education and see how they can guide and direct the individuals throughout the projects, and not only do that, work on the tasks that are the detail-oriented tasks that the young men usually aren't really creative and detailed at. It's amazing to see how they have cultivated an amazing crop here in the Euclid welding program. So it's been a huge learning curve for me, and it's been an amazing reward, because as you can see, I have a lot of fine young women that are in this program pursuing welding as a profession upon completing their high school program.
And for anyone tuning in that may not know, the welding profession is definitely an in-demand job. The average wages starting out right now are $45,000 a year. So we're talking about careers that will only go up from there. And many of you will be certified to walk into a job just like that as soon as you graduate high school. So thinking about welding as a future career, there's all different types of welding you can do. I mean, there's even underwater welding opportunities to work on, major equipment in that way too. So it's kudos to all of you, and thanks so much for joining us. We can't wait to hear a little bit more about your educational paths. But we are going to kind of showcase at least one employer that is, even currently seeking employees that are interested in furthering their career in manufacturing. So we're going to hear a little bit from our manufacturing partner that we have on the line here today in Modular Assembly Innovations. And we want to kind of overview for you what this particular manufacturer does in their partnership. And we're going to hear from some of their employees about their long-term career options. So first, we're going to kind of show you an overview video, and then we'll dig into the facility tour in our follow-up to the overview. So we hope you enjoy this overview of Modular Assembly Innovations.
The numbers are almost unbelievable. Nearly 1 million total assemblies per month. and 27,000 wheel assemblies alone each day. That's 1 every 11 seconds for the most popular and award-winning cars, trucks, and SUVs in the world. For more than 20 years, Modular Assembly Innovations has served as a vital Tier 1 supply partner to Honda and Acura, providing essential just-in-time assembly, supply chain management, and OE outsourcing for an automotive market that never slows down. MAI operations in Ohio, Indiana, and Alabama receive, assemble, and distribute a broad array of highly complex modular automotive systems, from our roots and tires and wheels to suspensions, fuel system modules, chassis components, powertrain modules, and more. MAI occupies the center of a complex network of suppliers and automotive assembly plants, where even minutes of downtime or miscommunication translate into costly delays and missed deliveries. So we've invested heavily in systems and technologies that lower transportation costs, increase precision, and virtually eliminate warehoused inventory. It's the result of an uncompromising focus on key performance indicators, detailed reporting, lean systems, and certified Six Sigma Black Belt managers. And yet, beyond the robotics, logistics, and systems, it's our people and our values that truly make the difference. MAI associates share an entrepreneurial spirit, a commitment to excellence, and a culture of safety prevention. These are the people who provide solutions to challenges, deliver operational excellence, and maintain uptime all the time. MAI, assembly solutions for the finest automotive brands on earth.
So we were really fortunate to be able to have two of our own, Fritz Reiser and Michelle Washington, head out to MAI to spend a little bit of time with some of those key employees that you heard from here in that video. So we're going to kind of show you a little bit of an insider tour of MAI and some of the production that they do. And then we're going to follow up with some interviews with some of their staff. But we'll definitely be hearing more from our welding students in between. And, if you have questions as we are, showing you the tour of MAI or as we're having conversations with our welding students, please don't hesitate to drop those questions in the chat. So let's go ahead and head over to MAI and check out their facility.
where would they start? What would they do? So we have a training program. You'll see Nisha, our senior team leader, doing the interview. You actually help them onboard them. We have an orientation which we'll put them through, kind of accommodate them to the area. And it really depends on where our needs are at the time or where we replace them. This is the time we're putting in now. When the needs are in town, we'll put them here. If the needs are in town, we'll put them there. We certainly have the option to make it multiple places, depending on our demand with it. And then would they rotate through as a part of the training? So we have a full rotation program here. So no one works more than 2 hours a week. And we rotate through. So we want them all to be cross-trained. So different all of our concepts. Within their time and the truck assembly that way. So within a day they move? Yes. Oh yeah. So like this operator is here right here. In 2 hours they'll do the next two. Interesting. We do that for kind of like cross-training but for ergonomics. Oh yeah. Yeah. Here down these lines, this is what we have between us and Honda. So essentially there's 90 to 100 sets of tires and wheels within our here. And that would be exactly what we would send to Honda in this batch of how you think it. So this is what's between us and them. They run roughly a car a minute, so you figure 90 to 100 minutes. Right here. So we have a little bit more in our shipping area than what Honda might have over here. Coming up along, going on truck, head right over there. Making more into our shipping trailers now. So as they come down the line, they'll turn. We do all of our shipping confirmations here. So basically, an associate will come through, do all the quality checks necessary. And at that point, they'll move through conveyor. We don't have to move them manually. All of our conveyor processes right under the trailer, and then they'll convey them right out behind them. So no one's manually moving these there.
So in terms of employees, hiring employees, do you hire employees straight out of high school? What qualifications are you looking for?
So certainly straight out of high school would be perfectly acceptable to us. We have a training program internally here. Through what we call our senior team lead program. The new associates that have been on our processes for some time, and they've actually been into a new position. This is that growth within the company that I talked about. From there, those individuals will actually run them through orientation, and we have a full-on training program just for those people who come in with no manufacturing experience, assembly experience, and in general to train all of our processes.
So can you tell me a little bit about the culture of your company and how regardless of the position that you're in, how you're still connected to this work? And even some of the leadership, as you mentioned, with Billy.
Sure. So everyone in our company is familiar with our processes. They may not be direct operators, but at one point or another, all of us have been out here on processes. Just 6 months ago, the owner of our company and I were running lines out here together. Matt and Heather both have been out here in the last 6 months. Whenever we need those type of help, our team pulls together and we do what we have to do. We've all seen some of our manpower gaps throughout all of the company, any company in the world right now, so it's like. So everyone definitely will hop in and learn or run those processes they might already be familiar with. And if you look at all of our leaders in our company, all of any of our team leaders, all of our supervisors, they all came from our shop floor. All of them were associates at one time, worked their way throughout the company. So I can introduce you to two of our managers who also did the same thing. They started as an associate and here they are. Are you all like what you're going to notice here is something that's a lot less automation. If you're left quieter over here too, basically everyone here is going to be associated with it. Michelle, she'll be the one videoing us. She'll be back here in 5 years. You'll see the little patch on the shoulder. That is because he was an NC Circle member, so we have what's called the new challenge. So he's going to be part of a continuous improvement activity throughout the plant. There's actually multiple other associates that get to do that. But he was a member, he got to present, go through a whole project. Sometimes he even traveled for it, like we went to Atlanta and some of these projects for the associates do a full presentation. It's a really cool process. Assembly. These associates are going to pre-stage everything, and then we have an assembly cell at the end with evaluation. We actually send the truck to go in the vehicle. This is bigger than one that's for MDX.
Sign language.
about the 5S program.
Yeah, so here at GLA, we have a 5S program. Basically, we actually audit it weekly, and then if there's a mitigation assessment rather than the department, yeah, we keep it looking like it does here.
You're developing your employees internally with the NC Circle and exactly what that process looks like?
We have a continuous improvement initiative here called NC Circles. It's actually developed with our partner HLA, which is Honeywell North American Logistics. They do what they call an new Honda Circle. We do what's called an NC or New Challenge Circle. Those are all associate-driven projects where the associates will form a team, and we'll pick a project or a problem and let them do that. And then there's a 10-step process where they go through, and they actually present that out to leadership. And according to what happens, they can go to some competitions actually for that. We had a team in 2019 that actually traveled to Atlanta, Georgia. Presented their project down there. You'll meet here. That's Wendy who we talked about earlier. Both on those teams. At any given time, we usually have 1 to 2 of those teams going on. We run those at all 3 of our plants. They report back to the lean committee, so all of our plants can share that information.
So what types of projects are they involved with? What problems are they looking for? How are they coming to the conclusion of what specific projects to choose?
That's all associate driven. So they actually come to us with a list of projects or problems. For instance, if you're working at your station and you're like, wow, this tool's always falling or this is always happening, it's actually associate driven projects. They come to us for approval when we let them kind of head down the path. We've got a couple of associates that are very well versed in this project, and they're actually completely led by the associates.
So it's really a real grassroots from the ground floor up to make their lives and the process better. Best part ever, because like they had more room that people could get in there and do all their crazy stuff.
Those are the cities here now. Years ago, they were
So we definitely want to thank our partners over at Modular Assembly Innovations for letting us come and tour the facility. We do want to connect you to their particular website where you can learn more information about their company and even possibly look at a future career there. So we'll drop their link in the chat. But we want to make sure that, we're drawing some clear parallels to future careers here. I'm sure you heard in the interview, there are opportunities to walk into that particular company with little to no manufacturing experience, and they have a great training program to get folks acclimated to what the particulars of the job are. And thinking about how you get started on that type of training, even in high school, is so important, and one of the key things that we want to emphasize here today. So we're going to turn back to our high school students, and we really want to hear a little bit more from you about what the biggest obstacle you had to overcome in pursuing this type of education was. What was the biggest obstacle you overcame, maybe as a female in the manufacturing and construction trades? Since you joined this program, how has your life changed? And you all mentioned a little bit about having more of a career focus even early in high school. But if you could elaborate a little bit on some of the obstacles that you had to come to make that choice for yourself, we'd love to hear a little bit more for you about what pursuing this type of career field in high school looks like.
I'll say the biggest thing that I have to overcome is like learning all of the machine and working with a lot of boys. I'll say because I won't say that they tend to push the females around a lot. If anything, they're actually more scared of us. But I'll say working with them because they always think that they're right or always know everything. It's not true. But I'll say that's probably one thing that I had to overcome. And what was the other question?
Yeah, you like yourself.
Can you repeat that question?
What's something maybe you've learned about yourself in overcoming that obstacle?
Something I said I could learn about myself is that I tend to pick up I tend to pick up things kind of quick. So it wasn't really that hard learning everything, but then again, it kind of was. So I'll say learning the machine was quickly.
Anyone else?
I'd say one of my biggest obstacles overcoming was having people wanting to do the same thing I'm doing and wanting the same credit, but not doing the same work or the same effort into it. Like I might be working on a project by myself and 10 other people might be sitting there watching me and they might want to come in and be like, oh yeah, I helped make that. But did they actually?
So different types of work ethic, different levels of work ethic, absolutely. Oh, maybe hit that mute button one more time. There you go.
I haven't came across many obstacles, as in like I've only been here for a couple of weeks. Only thing is like they're taller, can't see over them. That's the only thing that I can say right now, but I'm pretty sure that I will come across many obstacles. And what was the other question?
So what have you learned about yourself in overcoming some of those?
I learned that I am a fast learner. That is something that I learned, and that I'm capable of doing a lot more things than I thought I could. So, yeah.
Yeah, that you're capable of doing more than you could, especially with your hands. That's great. Anyone else?
I would say that my biggest obstacle that I've overcome was people like not expecting you to be able to weld or do the things that we do here in the shop. So you're kind of, I think at first you're not really given as much of an opportunity, but that's why you have to prove yourself. I learned that that's why you have to prove yourself and make sure that they know that you're capable of doing that as well.
Yeah, prove some people wrong sometimes. That's right. That's right.
One of the obstacles I've had to overcome is the change in friends and family dynamic. Because you're more career focused and more ready to better yourself, and they're still in high school and they're not ready for that and they don't see that, but it works.
That's such a great observation.
One of the biggest obstacles I've had is just learning the machinery and how to operate everything. But I've learned that I love to come in here and do this every day, and I look forward to coming in here and seeing Ryan and all of my friends, and it's just such a hands-on experience. It's amazing.
That's great. I am curious, like, what your favorite types of welding are. Like, have you guys been on a TIG yet? Like, do you like the wire-fed MIGs? Like, what is your favorite type? Anybody, an acetylene welder out there? Anybody like Oxy?
I'd say my favorite welding is probably stick.
Okay.
I probably give it to stick. I tend to like stick more than anything else.
Yeah. Okay.
I'd say that my favorite processes are either stick or TIG. I just think that those ones like require the most like technique, and it's more involved, I guess.
I'd say my favorite process is stainless TIG. I just like the precision to it and the colors.
Yeah, that requires a lot of precision. That's great.
I have only stick welded, so I would say I like it, so I have nothing to compare it to. I've also been on stick, but I do like 7018 better than 6010.
Yeah, that's great.
My favorite process is probably stick and MIG.
And we do have a question from someone tuning in. So they're curious, does the program offer you, the students, a chance to tour or visit businesses and manufacturing companies to help you decide which field of welding you would like to pursue?
It definitely does, because I can say that me and probably a few more of the seniors, we've already visited multiple companies. We've been places all over. We've been to other shops outside of Ohio. So it definitely offers like a lot of traveling and figuring out what's out there, along with different companies that you could actually go to after you graduate.
Okay, yeah, that's great. People are.
Not only do we go to other companies, we also have companies come here to our program, and we have a lot of industry partners that come in and give their expertise and help a lending hand with our students. We do a lot of project-based learning. We've been doing it for about 16 years, and we've got over 165,000 community service hours. So without our business partners and without the industry in our local area here, those projects wouldn't be completed without their help and without their partnership. So yes, do we go to different businesses and do we take tours and do we allow those industries to show our students? Absolutely. I think that's the most critical thing about our program here at Euclid is the business partners. Without them, we wouldn't be as successful as we are.
That's great. Thanks so much. We also have another question coming in from people tuning in. What is your ideal company to work for? So what's your ideal type of company to work for?
My ideal company would be basically anybody that cares about me more so than only about my work. I mean, of course, caring about my work is like, you know, your company and everything, but I feel like you should also care about the worker more than you care about their work. So if I'm like not understanding something, help me understand more so than yelling at me and telling me, oh, you have to do better and things along those lines.
That's great.
I'd say my ideal company is a company that allows me to expand and grow within the company. Even if I have to overcome and adapt to new things, I think that something that would like further my experience and help me gain practical knowledge is what my ideal company would be.
That's really good, especially if we do have any business partners that have tuned in. You're hearing right from, you know, future employees what they'd like out of a company. That's great.
Kind of going off what these two said, my ideal company morals are more so thinking about me and taking me into consideration, not just the work, and like expanding not just my work ethic and not just my thinking, but like my abilities. So say I'm good at one skill like welding, I could be good at machining, or I could be good at even going into other trades like carpentry. I want to expand and learn more, and I want to have those abilities to do that.
So a company that, you know, is interested in investing in growing you and your skill set. That's great. We have a couple more questions. Like, how many hours are you guys like hoping to work? Like, are you thinking like full time? You thinking opportunities for overtime? And then also a question came in and you guys will laugh about this one, I'm sure, but is the need for individuals with your skill set and talents apparent in the industry right now? So like, are your skills in demand right now in the industry? That's probably a resounding yes, I would assume.
Can I give you another thing that I hear as an instructor from my students that are out in our industry in our local area? One of the big things I see that I've built the partnerships with my businesses and industry around here, the students or the individuals that work for them, they have to have some type, I'll tell you what they do love as an incentive program. And that incentive program is where they don't have to ask for a raise.
Yeah.
There's that they have some type of a platform where they know that they have, you know, an achievable goal to increase their value within an allotted amount of time. So many young men and women say, Mr. Eubank, I left the job, and before I left, they asked me, what would it take to stay? And they always tell me, why did I have to leave?
Yeah.
Before they wanted to give me something greater than what I was doing. And I said, well, that tells you your self-worth. Because if you just left and they didn't really care and they want to see what they could do to make you stay, you know, I think that's one of the things that they always ask is, why do they always have to, why do I have to leave in order for them to obtain an increase in pay or another skill that they can learn or growth in that particular company and that type of environment?
That's super important, and just kind of ways for you all to be able to see your future progression in a company is super important. And actually, that's the perfect segue into getting kind of back at modular assembly innovations, where Fritz sat down with a few of the employees there at that company to have a little more frank conversation about what it's like to work there. So we're going to take it back over to modular assembly innovations for a little bit of a sit down with some of their employees and hear a little bit more about employment in that business.
Good morning. We're here at Great Lakes Assembly in East Liberty, Ohio, and I'm here with Nisha Saxton, Senior Team Lead, and Trenton Reed, Production Associate. And we're going to talk to them today a little bit about their careers in manufacturing. So how long have you been working here, and how did you get started?
I've been here 2 years. I came in through a temp agency, CDI, and then I moved into the company, hired on full-time.
Great. And Trenton?
I've been here for 5 years, and I came in the same as well through a company, a temp agency called CDI. And about 8 months or so in, they decided to hire me.
That's excellent. And Senior Team Lead, I know the title, but what exactly do you do as a Senior Team Lead?
So the temps that come in, also full-timers, when they come in, we get them in through orientation. We also help them learn the process of job.
Awesome. And then Trenton is a production associate. What do you do?
My job is to pre-assemble certain parts for Honda. I currently do struts.
Awesome. And what do you like about this career?
It's really like that.
Nice. Everybody likes that. And Trenton?
I like the fact that we're allowed to do things that doesn't exactly involve our every day-to-day job, like the NC Circle.
NC Circle, what's that?
It is a thing that Honda does that allows you to work with like a small group of people to solve like little minor issues and follow certain like guidelines to it. Fun and you gotta be creative.
So you're part of a solution to a problem.
Yes.
That's great. That's great. How do you feel this company provides you with an environment that you want to stay here for 2 years, 5 years, and hopefully beyond?
Well, there's like a really set schedule. So you do work some weekends, but I mean, you're okay with that. It should work out with you. Really laid back here, so you get along with this by everybody. Any moment that is coming down.
Okay.
Well, I think it provides a very like safe environment and it's respectful and it's easy to get along with a lot of people.
That's great. So you make friends here?
Yeah.
Awesome. Would you call yourself a family here?
Somewhat.
Somewhat? Okay.
Certain people.
Certain people? All right.
So it's interesting that, you know, our students were talking about company culture as being such an important aspect of why they would select a company to go work for. And, you know, hearing from some of the employees here right at Modular Assembly Innovations, that's also something they talked about. So the people you surround yourself definitely can make or break a career. Absolutely. So, you know, also Fritz had a chance to sit down and talk a little more in depth with another employee that we're going to hear a little bit more about too.
To the future. So my dad was always got the hands on that person. That led me down the path of engineering school.
With me today is Matt Goodyear, Senior Director of Operations. Matt, what exactly does Great Lakes Assembly do?
So we assemble parts for the automotive industry. We do mostly sub-assemblies. We do tire and wheel, interior components, suspension components, lots of various components for the car. Our strategies have near site facilities, so we're always near our customer. We bring those parts in, consolidate them, assemble them into modules, can be easily installed into the vehicle, and then shipped over to our customer.
Great. So you've been here, I think you told me 22 years, is that correct?
That's right, almost 22 years.
22 years. So what is the state of manufacturing in the United States, in your opinion?
Yeah, manufacturing, in my opinion, is in a really good place right now. With all the worldwide disruptions, for various reasons, there's a lot of issues shipping parts into the country. So it's a really good time right now for manufacturing to source and make parts locally.
Okay, great. Yeah, I certainly hear all the chip shortages and things like that on the news, and if you can keep it in your own backyard, we have to be more efficient.
Yeah.
So if you could think back 22 years ago, what was your journey into manufacturing?
So I guess if I go all the way back to high school, you know, I worked in a car dealership. I was always around things mechanical and things like that. When I went off to college, I was studying engineering, and I took a couple industrial and manufacturing engineering classes. I wasn't sure that's what I was going to do, but I really liked those. From there, I was able to get an internship working in a factory, and that's what led me down this path.
Oh, great. So you really kind of took the steps to get to where you are today.
Yeah.
So my father worked in manufacturing. He was always tired. He was always dirty.
Right.
Your facility looks like you can eat off the floor and people seem happy. Right. What's changed in manufacturing to get it to this state?
Well, yeah, I don't know. It's all changed. I mean, there's a lot of technology out there now that helps us keep the floor cleaner. We design our processes and our equipment around cleanliness and with safety in mind, because the two go hand in hand. Different programs, 5S, COPs, we call clean, organize, and pick up. And we also allot time to our associates every day during their shift for these activities to keep their areas clean.
Okay, so it's not just like at the end of the day, clean up and go home.
Right.
You actually provide them that opportunity to keep their facility like they want it to be.
And the tools.
Great. So manufacturing has a reputation of being repetitive, boring. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, not at all. I think you'll find the variety of jobs that are available in a factory offers people the opportunity to find a job that fits them. It could be the speed they want to work. It could be the activity they want to do. You know, you think about forklift driving to receiving, shipping. There's so many opportunities in a factory to find a job that works for the person. I think you also find that the time passes quickly while you're building the parts. Yeah.
And with all these opportunities, you have programs to help them develop if they want to try something new or train in a different area?
Absolutely. We highly encourage hiring from within into our various positions, salary positions. Absolutely. And we have training courses. We have a leadership development program, college tuition reimbursement programs, all available to the associates.
Sounds like a lot of great opportunity and a great place to work. So, Matt, I want to thank you so much for your time today, and you know, the knowledge and the opportunities that you shared with us. And you have a great day.
Matt, can you tell us a little bit about the value of an internship? You mentioned that part of your career journey was the internship experience. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, for me, I was really lucky. I worked in a factory that was building brakes. I just got exposed to so many different things. You know, getting to see the different types of equipment, and I really enjoyed that. And I had a mentor at that time for the person I was working with, who really helped me get excited about it and learn about factories and how they function.
What role did your mentor, how did your mentor influence you?
You know, at the time, we were kind of bringing some new equipment up to speed. So he just showed me those various techniques, whether it was time studies or efficiencies or applying lean principles, you know, all those things he was able to teach me.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
Here with Adam Perry, Senior Manager of Production and Quality at the Great Lakes Assembly in East Liberty, Ohio. Adam, can you tell us a little bit about what opportunities are available here at Great Lakes?
So we have an array of opportunities here. We promote associate growth and involvement here. We have a lot of different programs that you're trying to talk about earlier. We have an NC Circle program, which is a continuous improvement program we run here in conjunction with our partner in Honda. You get a lot of great opportunities there, whether that may be growth to present and travel and really showcase some of your continuous improvement activities. We also have what's called a Plan Awareness Committee, which I run. This Plan Awareness Committee, the associates get their opportunity to sit down with myself, as well as our human resources team. We get to bring up any issues in the plan, talk about countermeasuring them, and what changes we might be able to make. We also have what's called a leadership development program. And one of our associates you've seen it today, Isha, should be going through that program as well. I went through that program myself. This actually helps develop those individuals who might want to be promoted in the company or increase their leadership abilities. There's a plethora of training opportunities. We hold what we call a quarterly training. For each quarter, we meet as a plant. It's been a little more challenging with the COVID protocols, so we're meeting in smaller groups. We'll be talking about any of those changes that are coming to the plant, any of the new processes or products that are coming, anything we've had from a quality or safety standpoint, we cover with them at those points.
Well, that's great. That's great. What other jobs other than manufacturing exist in this company?
Yeah. So we talk a lot here about promoting from within. Primarily, most of our salary staff and our support staff come from associate level. We really promote that internal growth here. We have, human resources department and accounting department. We have the purchasing department. We focus on inventory control. Our quality department primarily has came from within. So we really promote that internal growth.
That's great. What a way to build loyalty with the company.
Absolutely.
And so what entry-level employee, what skills do you look for when you're interviewing and hiring?
Yeah. So, we can handle about any skill set. A lot of times in manufacturing, we can handle anything from if someone really wants that. We don't really get to heavy physical work here. A lot of dexterity type work. We deal with everything from receiving to shipping, forklift driving. There's an array of opportunities depending on that individual skill set.
Great. So, high school student, what's the best way that they can prepare for a career here?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of ways. We talked a little bit about those computer skills earlier with some of our associates, and certainly use those here in different facets according to what you're doing, whether that's inventory or maybe some different process options. But it really has to talk all about the responsibility and growth and being punctual and really kind of getting your life in track and energized. We get to do a lot of different type of processes here in general, so it keeps their mind engaged at all times. Right. It's not that old school manufacturing where your nose is just down and going. We got a lot of nice technology out there that helps in the processes.
That's great, and I couldn't agree with you more. I think no matter what industry we talk to, it always comes back to those people skills and communication skills and responsibility and all that. So that's great to hear. What's a growth trajectory look like for a person that just enters as an entry-level employee?
I really think that depends on the individual. Someone who wants to grow in the company, we certainly have those opportunities. We talked about our leadership development program, and the amount of internal growth we have here. We have several programs helping those growth opportunities when we really promote that here. But ultimately, if the individual really likes being tied to a process or maybe to an assembly line, we have that option. If they want to grab a forklift, when they're receiving, we have all these options here that really give them a nice plethora of opportunities within our company.
So they can really kind of write their own ticket based on their interest and what they want to put into it.
Absolutely.
Great. So final question for me, what's the number one reason that a high school graduate or college graduate would want to come work at Modular Assembly Innovations at the Great Lakes Assembly?
Yeah. It's an exciting career. We talked about that growth potential. There's always different change, as the new vehicles come through, you get to see a lot of things. We actually get to aid in developing some of those vehicles. We occasionally, be involved with the research and development side of our customer, which is pretty exciting. We usually get our associates involved in that as well. We're a stable company. We're going to make sure everyone continues to get their paycheck as they should. We have an opportunity for feedback, and our leaders every day are on that floor. For instance, every morning we do what we call a whole board walk. All of our leaders in our plant walk through the floor. All those associates have the opportunity to get feedback at that time. I think we make sure all of our supervisors, leaders in the company are always there for our associates at this feedback anytime.
Great. And I guess I don't have one more question, but I do have a comment. I was really impressed the other day. We were walking through as you took us on a tour of the plant, and I kicked a very small little pebble or piece of debris or whatever, and you as a senior manager of production and quality stopped to pick it up. And I just thought that was really, really impressive. Like, you didn't call for someone to come do it. You did that, and really that kind of pride and dedication to what this plan is like really shown through. So I just want to let you know that didn't go unnoticed. It was very, very impressive. So I thank you so much for your time today, for your information. This sounds like a great company, a great place that, you know, a young person with ambition and some nice communication skills and responsibility can come and make quite a career for themselves.
Tell us a little bit about your career.
So we want to kind of turn our attention back to the students on that note to kind of shift the conversation a little bit to be future focused. So you heard from MAI and a little bit about their future opportunities. And so students, we want to hear a little bit from you. How exactly has your welding program or being introduced to manufacturing careers, how has it changed your career trajectory? I know many of you mentioned that you're hoping to pursue a career in welding afterwards, but tell us a little bit more about how getting exposed to manufacturing in high school has really changed your vision for your career into the future.
I was already kind of involved in more industrial work, like I said, because I worked with my dad and my brother for like railroad maintenance and construction and stuff like that. But this kind of gave me a new skill to add to my belt and just bring that to the workforce as well. So it made like finding a job and stuff like that, I think a lot more like easier for me to do because it's just adding another skill.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. Yeah.
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question?
Sure. Like, how has being exposed to the manufacturing career field, and especially like welding as a career opportunity, how has it changed your career trajectory? Yeah.
Before I came into the school, I just thought that I had to go to college and that I had to be graded for everything I do. But as I started getting more into this program, I realized that it doesn't just have to be me going to college, and I can do a man's job and I can go out and do labor. Like, I didn't think this option was available for women before being in this class.
That's great.
Kind of like Lauren said, I did like for the program, I was like just thinking about college and like that's where I wanted to go after high school. But now like I have more options because I want to be like a lawyer.
Okay.
But I have like more options like that I could be a welder, I could be a machinist, I could be like other options.
So being exposed to this program kind of opened your eyes to all the options in manufacturing.
Yes.
That's great. That's great.
Before this program, I wanted to do the normal thing as a 5-year-old kid. I want to be a doctor, I want to be a nurse. And growing up with a dad that was in machine trades and went to nursing,
Okay.
that's what I do.
Yeah.
So then I went from I want to be a nurse to I want to be in the trades.
You took the opposite. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Personally, for me, my perspective has changed a lot. Originally, I wanted to go into something more marine biology based,
Okay.
and immediately I was set on like college and doing all this stuff, and then I was introduced to the trade program and all the different opportunities I could have here, and it's completely changed how I've thought about life and what I wanted to do after graduating high school.
That's great. Yeah. Thank you for that perspective. Yep.
Prior to the program, I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do in life. Even now, I'm still kind of not sure what I want to do, but I know now that I have more opportunities than I have before. I know if I want to skip college, go straight into the workforce, I can, or go to college and expand my knowledge, and then go into the workforce, I can. But I know that it changed a lot. So.
Yeah, that's good to know. Well, and I'm sure MAI would say this too, but there's so many opportunities for, students like you all to start an experience in a job, continue that after you've graduated high school. And there's so many tuition reimbursement programs and support programs that employers, if college is still in your pathway, which, in many times, in many cases, that helps make you even more employable. Starting with a company is a good decision because they often have ways that they can help offset your tuition costs. So that's great. Mr. Eubank, this one might be for you. A question from the audience. Is there an awareness or possibly a worry that increased automation and technology could lessen the need for a human touch in manufacturing? Any perspective that you have on that?
I think that's a false statement.
Okay.
I think the only way we're going to keep up in the global economy that we're in right now is automation. Throughout every automation process, there has to be the human touch to be able to run the machines. But not only once they have the human touch, they have to be the ones that inspect it. And once it's ultimately a defect, the human touch still has to fix it and correct it. So the automation is another tool in the toolbox for these young men and women that are taking up these programs. And I think that's where most career technical education programs need to do, is not only the practical application, but introducing them to the automation program, because that is one thing that we can do to help better our chances in competing in a global economy. And I think the young men and women, it's a video game age, and they don't realize that we're playing a video game every day when we're working with real live industrial equipment and automation equipment and stuff like that. And so once we can start creating education like it's a video game for these individuals, the real thing is, it is a real thing. You are actually doing and playing that game. And that's one thing I love about welding. Welding is like a video game. Every weld is a different level. Every joint is a different game. Everything out there is a real live video game that it has tangibles to it. And when we can take that, we can show the young men and women about automation, and we can introduce practical with automation. I think that's one of the coolest things that we can use as educators to sell to the young men and women that are looking for a career path. Because it's like all these young ladies that are in this class. They didn't know what the possibilities were. And now they have kind of given themselves so many more options that they've learned that not only can I weld, but they can speak very well, they can communicate very well, they can fabricate, you know, so they have a lot of tools in their toolbox that they can ultimately become great young females in the industry today, and they can have a lot of growth very fast. And I think that's what career technical education has done to them, is it's broadened their horizon, given a different vision on life, and it's exposed them not only to them, but to their younger daughters, their younger siblings, their next door neighbors, their friends and their family. And I think that's the cool thing about what career technical education and the welding program has done.
Absolutely. Thank you for weighing in on that. I think so many of the points you made are so good. And, you know, just to kind of put a fine point for everyone tuning in, you know, the more that we can expose students early on in their education careers to these career fields that, you know, may be misunderstood, the better off that our students and, like Mr. Eubank was saying, our global economy can be in Ohio's position in our global economy. Many of us could name some stereotypes that we have when we think of the manufacturing industry, and hopefully today at least played a small part in dispelling some of those myths. Even looking in the back of Mr. Eubank's welding lab there with his students, you can see how clean, how organized, and how well lit the facility is, which that in and of itself kind of dispels some of the stereotypes that you hear about manufacturing. So it's so important that we talk about these career fields and the viable options within it. And, you know, from the Department of Education and all of our partners that are on here today, Mr. Eubank and all of your students, thank you so much for spending time with us here today. We're going to wrap up our Manufacturing Day here event over at MAI with Fritz with one last employee interview, provide some closing remarks, and then we're going to wrap up here today. So feel free to, as we're switching over to MAI, drop your questions in the chat if you've got some final ones, and let's hear a little bit from Fritz.
Good morning. I'm here with Heather Patterson at Great Lakes Assembly in East Liberty, Ohio. Heather is a corporate accounting manager. Heather, young people today seem to value experiences and their own time and that overpay. Could you tell me a little bit about what makes Great Lakes Assembly an attractive place for them to work?
I would say it has a lot to do with benefits. Coming in, you get vacation. You're guaranteed 2 shutdowns a year, so you'll get the whole week of 4th of July off, the whole week of Christmas, between Christmas and New Year's. So, you know, those are guaranteed times plus vacation. You can pay company paid benefits where you get, you know, company sponsored medical benefits, eye, vision, dental. You only pay a portion of that. right top notch with a lot of the other companies.
So not only do you have a great job and a great career opportunity, you can do what you want in your time off too, and still receive a paycheck.
Absolutely. The best part of the 2 shutdowns is, like a lot of times when you take vacation, you've still got work to come back to. You come back to a week's worth of work that you've missed. Well, when they do shutdowns, everybody's off. So nobody's calling you. You're not coming back to a week's worth of work. Everybody's off. So you can actually enjoy your time off.
Oh, that's great. That sounds wonderful. Well, thank you so much for sharing that with us, Heather.
Tell us about your early exposure to manufacturing and how it has changed over the years.
I was very similar to what you had mentioned earlier in one of the other interviews where I grew up with a dad that lived. So, I saw him come home every day, hate his job, it's just for routine and mundane, he was just constantly waiting for retirement. One of the things I said in high school was, I don't know what I want to do when I grow up, but I don't want to work in a factory. So I decided I was going to college and whatnot. But I worked at a factory the first summer after high school just to make sure that that's really not what I wanted to do. And then I ended up going to college, getting my 4-year degree, and then I ended up back here, and it's been the best decision I've ever made. I like the knowing when I'm going to be here, and having that set schedule, having that time off.
And can you tell us a little bit about what it entails in your job? What are some of your core functions on a daily basis?
We monitor the money. Every day, the first thing we look at when we come in is the money. Then we, more or less, lack of a better term, we organize the money, and then we report out the money. We get to report out the financial health of the company.
So manufacturing has various aspects of it, and so you're on a different track. What advice would you give to any student interested in an accounting degree?
Just to not think that there's only one route to do it. There's accounting in every business. It's in a factory, it's in a store. As an accountant, you see everything. There's nothing that anybody in this company can hide, because we see every single transaction, from a piece of material moving on the floor to what comes in the door, what goes out the door. We see everything, and we just kind of put all those puzzle pieces together.
Great. What advice would you give to our high schoolers?
Keep an open mind and be thinking of the future.
Well, thank you so much to our MAI partners who let us in the door, and especially the employees who gave us some interviews to give us a little bit of insight of what it's like to work in a real life manufacturing facility. It's so neat that you manufacture those parts for Honda. And again, a special thank you to Mr. Eubank and all of the students for your perspective and sharing. We hope again that this has provided at least a glimpse into the manufacturing industry to dispel some myths and to encourage those of you tuning in, whether you're tuning in live or you're watching the recording, to think pretty critically about pursuing an opportunity to be in the manufacturing career field. So thank you all again so much. Kudos to Michelle and Fritz for the great work in interviewing, and thanks again, Robert, from our Department of Education for organizing the connection with Mr. Eubank and his students. We hope that this will be not the last time that we get to see you all, and we definitely want to connect with our students as they move forward into their career pathways too. So I don't see any other questions in the chat. Thank you all for tuning in to our virtual Manufacturing Day celebration, and we hope that you tune in to some of our other events that we'll be hosting throughout the school year. So thank you all so much. Take care.